So remember the good old days when you could choose between different types of phones, different types of software and of course different types of designs. One of these was the Nokia Lumia 1020. Now one thing that straight away stands out when it comes to this phone is of course the huge camera on the back. Now back then we were running for more megapixels on the phone instead of having anything other than that. The focus was mainly just on megapixels, and this one with a 41 megapixel camera quite clearly won when it came to that. However, they didn't stop at the megapixel count. Also, they had a much larger sensor than, well, most of the phones today as well, with a 1/1.5" sensor. However, because it was a 41 megapixel sensor, the UM was 1.12, so that is quite low compared to some phones that we have right now with a 1.4. However, this was a beast when it came out. Everyone loved the 41 megapixel sensor on this one. And back then, software wasn't that much implemented as we have today. This was more relying on hardware than anything else. How did this phone held up? Well, to be fair, because there isn't much software intervention compared to what we have today, it's not that good. For instance, the dynamic range isn't that great, and especially with autofocus when it comes to close-up objects, so micro shots, it just doesn't work that smooth. And also taking pictures on this does take a bit of time, especially when you utilize that 41 megapixel sensor properly. This is especially true when you use the Lumia camera instead of the built one in that comes with Microsoft Mobile. Now, like I said, it isn't the best out there anymore, especially when it comes to dynamic range, of course capturing details. But apart from that, this is still a 41 megapixel sensor, so when you need to, you can properly zoom into a picture. Now, like I said, this doesn't really hold up against the phones that we have today, especially when it comes to the software intervention when it comes to phones like this. Apart from that though, you can still take some decent pictures with this, especially when it isn't too hard with the dynamic range and anything like that, and when the object isn't too close. Yes, you could manually focus on this with the camera software of course, but most people just take pictures in automatic settings, so I focused on that for pictures with this Nokia Lumia. Even though that you really shouldn't be, but most people would still do that. Either way, I think this still somewhat held up, but if you want to take the best pictures, definitely you shouldn't get this one anymore. Only if the situation isn't too harsh for the camera itself, it really cannot hold up itself when it comes down to it. Apart from that though, I think it's still impressive that we had a phone like this years ago. And what I actually really like also is that we actually have a camera button on the side. That is something that I really do appreciate when it comes to a phone that is more a camera than a phone itself. And I think they've done that really well with this one. That is something that is a miss on the new Nokia 9 PureView. I think it is really weird that you don't have a camera button and a micro SD on that one. But apart from that, I think it's quite stellar how a phone like this still does decent for the age that this phone is. Either way, let me know what you think of the 1020. Do you want a phone like this again? Do you want something this crazy? Do you want that big sensor in your phone? And do you want a phone that is mainly focused on the camera itself and then a phone second? Let me know in the comments below. And of course, if you like this video, don't forget to leave a like. And if you haven't subscribed yet, you can subscribe. It's free. If you want to, of course. Anyway, have a good one and talk to you guys in the next.